Hi, Tanya from Created Health, Nutrition and Fitness. So what are those systematic physiological changes that are visible and functional that decline across the lifespan and are manifested in our organ system? So today I thought I would share some exciting, it's always exciting to me. You know me, I get so excited about science and nutrition and exercise and everything. Anywho, let's talk about the musculoskeletal system, which is your muscles and your bones. So as we age, we know that our muscles break down, and this is known as sarcopenia. And basically what happens is with sarcopenia, the muscles waste away. So they lose their muscle mass and they lose their strength. And this starts at the age of 30, and from 60 years onwards, that decline accelerates quite rapidly, and it results in weakness and frailty. Then when we look at bones, we look at osteopenia and osteoarthritis. And again, this is the loss of our bone mass. Our height declines over our lifespan between 2.5 to 7.5 centimeters across the lifespan, and this is predominantly due to loss of joint cartilage and that spinal compression. And regardless of how healthy you are, there is a gridlock, I suppose you would call it, or a bottleneck with different pathways within the body as we mature in life. And so one of those is glycine, and that's our glycine synthesis pathway that comes to a gridlock as part of the aging, which influences the musculoskeletal system. So how does glycine impact the musculoskeletal system? So let's go back to collagen. Why do we need collagen? What is collagen for? Collagen is an amazing little thing in our body that we have, and it makes up 25 to 30% of our body's protein. Now, you need collagen for your skin, for your bones, for your joints, for your gut lining, for tendons, for ligaments, for the cornea in the eye, for your blood vessels. So it is really important to have collagen. And what I did, I looked at a research paper. Let me see if I can find this research paper. What is it called? Actually, I looked at a couple of different ones. I looked at one called a meta-analysis, and it was a 2025 meta-analysis, effects of collagen peptide supplementation on bones and muscle health. So if you want to look that one up for yourself on PubMed, that is really very interesting. The other one was a little bit older. It was a 2018 paper that I looked at, and it was high glycine concentrations increases collagen synthesis by articular chondrocytes in vitro. Acute glycine deficiency can be an important cause of osteoarthritis. So we know with osteoarthritis, it's affecting our bones and our tendons and our ligaments and our joints and that sort of thing. So they were the two papers I looked at. So if you want to have a little look for yourself and read all the details, highly recommend it. Great reading, great research. But what it did, it actually looked at glycine. And glycine does lots of different things. Glycine's really also important for the production of glutathione. And we know that glutathione's really important to ward off oxidative stress, inflammation in the body, and on a cellular level for your cell health. But we can talk about that side of it another time. I want to focus on the musculoskeletal system and looking at bones and muscles and what's going on with that. So we've got sarcopenia, the breaking down of muscles, and osteoarthritis or osteopenia, breaking down of bones, and that is part of our natural aging system that does happen. So these papers were really interesting because they looked at different proteins that are needed to make up collagen. So collagen's made up of lots of different amino acids. And the research was really, really fabulous because what they did, they looked at glycine, they looked at proline and L-lysine. And the results were really interesting. When they increased the concentration of these amino acids, these 3 amino acids, they improved the regeneration at the articular cartilage matrix, which is really important for muscle and bone and joint and tendons and ligaments. So the only thing was, it was very interesting research because they found with the proline and the lysine, the production had a really good effect at a low dose. However, at that low dose, even though it got a really good result, those results didn't last for very long and they declined quite quickly. Whereas when they looked at the glycine, they needed a higher concentration of glycine, which gave them really good results, even slightly better results than what the proline and the lysine were giving them. And they found that those results lasted a lot longer. Now, this is important for many reasons. So it's important because glycine is one of those things that as we get older, there's a bottleneck approach, I suppose, in that pathway for the production of glycine, which is really important for the production of collagen. So what happens is, I wrote a note. Yeah, so your daily requirement of glycine for the synthesis of collagen is about 12 grams per day just for the production of the collagen, let alone all the other stuff that you need glycine for. However, when we look at it from a body point of view, endogenously our body makes up its own glycine, but it only produces about 3 grams. And then when we look at it from a dietary point of view, our intake on somebody that's having a good, healthy, diverse diet, we basically only make 2 to 4 grams in your dietary intake. So therefore, there's quite a deficiency or what do they call it, a fall short of about 10 grams of glycine per day just to make up really good collagen. So in this research, what they did, they found that a high dose supplementation of glycine was the best, and they found that the high range effects lasted longer than a low dose. So you did need that higher concentration to get the results. And they found like a normal intake is 1.5 to 3 grams per day, which was not enough. However, if they increased the plasmic concentration, which was between 3 and 4 times your normal plasma concentration, which you would get taking a supplement, it means that it increased by 200%, how's that, 200% of your collagen synthesis. So most of you are aware I have a breakage, tendon and ligaments and circulation and the whole thing, and the bones and the muscles. It's all really important, and I'm doing all that I know to do to heal as best as I can. So one of the things that I have done, I do take a very good quality collagen powder every day, and I've shared that before. Most of you are aware that I do that. However, I have now added a extra powder into that collagen powder, which I can drink together, it doesn't matter, and that is glycine, because we can't actually endogenously make enough, and we can't consume enough in our daily intake, and it's just part of our aging process. And I suppose, you know, as we get older, we look at these things, we become more aware, and we become more proactive in our health, because at the end of the day, your health is your wealth. So if you are suffering from osteoporosis, osteopenia, osteoarthritis, sarcopenia, any of those things, and you would like to work with me, I would love to help you in your health and wellness journey in life, because I am Tanya from Created Health, Nutrition and Fitness, and I am all about creating healthy lives.